Hi, I'm Tim Hushin with the mill. I'm the Sustainable Ag Tech Manager.
Hi, I'm Ben Hushin from the mill. I'm the General Manager of the Agronomy Division.
We're out here on the backside of Mike Kurek's farm, Susquehanna Orchards. We're on the pretty much most southeastern tip of York County. Just over the hill behind us is the Susquehanna River, and of course just across that's Lancaster County.
When we approach a farmer like Mike, one of the first things we have to sort out is where are they in the 4R journey? Have they ever heard of it before, or have they heard of it and they're already a couple steps, 2-3 steps down the road? In the case of Mike, when he asked us to come to this farm, he has been on this journey since the very beginning, and based on some of his family history, he was very in tune and very ready to get into what some farmers would call Chapter 5, where others are ready to start at Chapter 1.
When I came back to the farm, I was kind of lost in the row crop end of the business. I mean, we did not grow row crops, we rented the land out. So I had to find someone locally that I trusted and I knew would give me good information. And that's when I got my relationship with the mill and the Hushin family. And they really helped me learn about new technologies, implementing them on our farm. And I think very quickly they knew I wasn't scared to try something new.
Mike fools around with data at night. I don't know how with 3 kids, but he does. And he said, Tim, we need to dive deeper on this.
So this would be the field forecasting tool from Winfield United. This would be the newer nitrogen model we've been using. And it has kind of like a maximum, your 100%. That's the most biomass you're going to be able to produce that day. And depending on whatever kind of stresses are out there, whether it's water, nitrogen, potassium, those are kind of the 3 main components that they talk about. Kind of shows you predicted what did you get based on the models. And then of course, as soon as you get into grain fill, it starts doing the same thing. Instead of plant biomass, now it's talking about grain biomass. Mike's been on this farm, this field's been at least partnered with us on the 4R journey for the last 5 years. Yield history, soil samples, fertilizer that was spread, and throwing those all together, putting some analysis behind the scenes, aggregating them together. So we're pretty much layering them on top of each other and saying, all right, here's the better area of the field. Even riding in the combine, Mike or any grower will be able to tell you, yeah, this area of the field does better than the others, or this area isn't as good. But we're able to take computers and take analysis and figure out specifically where is that point in that field? Where can we kind of lump those more productive areas together and create zones?
The farmer wants to farm. They don't necessarily want to sit in fact, rarely do they want to sit in the office and try to grind through data. Any combine, probably any piece of machinery in the last 8-9 years, it has all the technology on there, but the farmers weren't using it because it's hard.
Be able to use this technology to help implement the 4R practices. That's not only talking about putting the right amount of fertilizer out there, but making sure what we do, we're putting it out at the right rate, using the right product, and at the right time to ensure that we're keeping it on the field to be used for that crop for that year, and not so that it falls down into the Susquehanna River, which if I zoom out just a little bit, you'll see is right over here. We are just on the top tip of that hill, so everything starts flowing in that direction. So we need to be conscious about every decision that's made.
For like the zone farming, I'm able to spend my fertilizer dollars where the field is most productive. And like this area here is a highly productive area. We're able to increase the amount of fertilizer we're putting down. We increase the plants per acre, and we should have our higher yield. Down at the bottom of this field where there's it's lower lying area, may lay a little wet, we're not going to get the same return on our investment if we do the same amount of fertilizer, put the same amount of seed in the ground. And the zone farming and the yield data and all the data we collect helps me and Tim put a plan together in the spring of where we're spending our dollars at. And that's really what it's all about, along with the conservation end.
We input everything that's happened in the season, when he planted, what the population was, what the yield goal was, any fertility that's been applied, nitrogen, and then there's some soil data, some soil types, slope, organic matter, just some inherent properties of the soil that's being calculated, and then of course weather plays a big factor. There's weather models that are in there too that's kind of predicting, all right, where have we been so far in 2020 when we're in season getting ready to come back in and say, hey, we need X amount of more nitrogen to attain our yield target without under applying and shortening that crop, or over applying and spreading more than that crop's going to take up. So after doing precision soil sampling, we get our results back. We know which area of the fields are calling for more or less of each nutrient. We can develop, there's plenty of tools out there that can help develop fertilizer plans and make those actually into a variable rate prescription.
So there's the recipe. So he takes the recipe, goes into each bin for each individual ingredient. You can go ahead and send it out if you want. So once it's mixed in the drum, which you see turning, once it's had its proper mix time, it's going to come out of that drum into one of two hoppers on the spreader. Sometimes we can put nitrogen in one part, one section of that spreader, and phosphorus in a different section, and then we can actually variable rate two different plant foods, two different fertilizers as we go across the field.
And then when it comes time to plant corn, whether you got a liquid fertilizer unit on your planter, whether you got a dry box, whatever it may be, we can include fertility into that pass as well. So that's talking about right placement and right time, trying to get nutrients applied as close to when they're going to be used for the crop. We've had really good results with split applying nitrogen.
When yield monitors started being more popular, probably 8-10 years ago, we were able to start collecting data on farm instead of just using university research or private research. So I think it was 2011, 2012, we had some growers start asking us, hey, can you come back? We've had a lot of rain. Why don't you come back and put a little more nitrogen on my farm? And that began our journey, another step in the 4R process, when the yield monitors that fall started coming back and showing a yield difference. Then we took farmers, we'd say, what is your normal amount of nitrogen you put on? And we say, let's split that. Let's put 60, 70% of that on pre-plant when they're doing their weed control, and then the rest of it somewhere around knee-high corn. We'd come back through and put the rest of it on. In some cases, the farmers were able to do it that second application themselves. And that was pretty much an 80 to 90% win. So we didn't add nitrogen in 2012. We took their money and reallocated, spread it out.
With using a nitrogen model on this farm, this field, we've been able to cut pounds of nitrogen per bushel back from the traditional 1 to 1.2 pounds needed down to 0.8. That's the farm average. This isn't just including the most productive land. This is including all the fields, the highs, the lows, everything. When you look at the dollars and cents, when you talk about market of nitrogen now, market of corn right now, we're about $9.50 to the better. That's going not just back into the grower's pocket, but also keeping that out of the water system. We're not over applying nitrogen. We're making the same amount of bushels or more using less nitrogen. So once the crop gets out of the ground, whether it's corn, soybeans, wheat, whatever it may be, we have the ability to activate, turn on some satellite imagery. And there's two main pieces that I really like about satellite imagery. One, helping monitor crop health, and the other piece also as a more directed scouting approach. Every week, hopefully maybe more than once or twice a week, when new images pop up, we get not just email alerts saying, hey, a new image is here, but there's also a change detection tool that's happening behind the scenes. So it takes the new image and is comparing it with older images and the most recent images and saying, all right, here's what the previous scale was looking like, here's the current one, and how much change was happening. And we're not just looking at crop health, we're also monitoring development that way as well.
I have to tell you, I have gray hair, so you would understand I'm a little hesitant on some of the technology. And turns out, that the satellite imagery is able to pick up things that are about to happen to a plant. And it picked up that it was on the edge. It wasn't deficient, but it was on the edge of being deficient from a couple micronutrients. If you're a 200-acre farmer or a 4,000-acre farmer, you can use that tool. And you can use that tool for some cases $1 or $2 an acre. It comes to your phone. You got dairy cows, you don't have time to go out and walk your fields. Look at that and say, something's going on out in field 7, I need to go look. If you have 3,000 acres, you don't have time to go look at all those fields. You can scroll through, see which ones have something going on, and then target, as Tim mentioned earlier, target, scout that field. So small farm, big farm, that's one of the easiest ways to make a big improvement on your farm.
It's one thing saying, oh, my field did 200 bushel the acre, but it's another thing when you can actually see it on a piece of paper or a screen. And today I can go to the local coffee shop and pull out my cell phone and see what my fields did, see which variety I planted in that field, see how much fertilizer we put on. And I don't even know how you put a dollar value on that. It's been a huge tool for us. And I think if you want to have high yields on your farm, you need to be following the 4R practices.